Hey guys, let me check if you guys can hear me. Okay, just give me a second. Let me know. Let me know if I'm audible to you guys. Not sure though. Hey guys. Yeah. Seems like I'm audible. So let's get started. So this is what we'll be building today. Here you go. So this is the design. So we'll have around actually two pages. So the first page will have all the list of projects, okay? And then a button to add a project, and then a connect wallet button to connect your wallet. And then another page that displays all the details of the project, okay? So it will display some details, and then what is the total fund that has been received. And then for users, it will show fund project, and for project owner, if this particular user who's actually seeing this project is the owner of the project, then we will show withdraw funds. Okay, so they can click on withdraw and then withdraw the funds. So that's what we'll be doing today. So we'll be doing this with the Next.js and then Chakra UI. So let's start installing that. So I already have a crowdfunding project created, a full project. I'm using WebStorm here. If you guys are using VS Code, Sublime or anything, that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. Okay. So now let's just start writing our. Let's first start installing Next.js. So here we'll say yarn create. If you're using npm, that's also fine. Do not worry about whether you have to use yarn or something. If you're using npm or pnpm, it's totally cool. Don't worry about it. Okay. Create next app. Okay, so it has to install. Let it install. Meanwhile, let's just go and take a look at Chakra UI. Okay, here you go, Chakra UI. So Chakra UI is a UI library which we'll be using today. It's a pretty good library, to be honest. Also 100% accessible. So out of the box, it gives you all this accessibility, okay, predefined for you to with if you use Chakra UI's components in your project. Okay. So since we're using Next.js here, we'll click on Next.js here. And then since I'm using yarn, I'll be using this command. If you're using npm, try to copy this command. Okay. So I'll copy this, go to my terminal again. Since the Next.js is installed, I'm going to paste this. Okay. After pasting this, give it a few seconds. It will install everything. Okay. Give it a few seconds. Meanwhile, let's just take a look at what Next.js has to offer for us. So you can see we have pages directory, which has some code here, a basic code, like basically the getting started code, and then an app.js file, which is the main config file, a main entry point to the entire our whole application, and then an API folder here, which will allow us to write backend APIs directly in frontend. Like basically Next.js is like a full stack library framework. Okay, and then we have public directory here, which has the favicon, favicon, and then this one Vercel logo. So this Vercel SVG will just give the loading indicators. Okay, this won't be visible to you in this one on production though. And then we have styles. We have a global style and the home.module.css here, which is basically this one. All these styles. You can delete those things later. Okay, since Chakra is installed right now, let's just make some cleanup to our project here. So what we'll do is we'll go to pages here and then delete this API folder, and then we go inside index.js file here, and then we clear out everything here. Okay, and just clear the div as well, and then just add this fragment here. Okay, you can remove all these imports, we don't need them. Okay, so this pages cleanup is done. You can go to styles and then delete global and then home module.css. Entirely delete the whole styles folder, we don't need them. Okay, you can delete this import as well. Okay, so now the cleanup is done. Now let's start the app by running yarn dev. If you're on npm, you have to run npm run dev. Okay, and then you can see it started localhost 3000. Click on that. You have to open this. Okay, now we have a blank page, meaning everything is set. Now let's try to set up Chakra UI. So next thing what you have to do is you have to set up a provider. So you can see go inside pages slash app.js file here. You can see app.js file here. Let's go inside that. Okay, we are inside app.js file. We have to import Chakra provider. Let's import Chakra provider here. And then we have to wrap this Chakra provider. We have to wrap the component inside Chakra provider. So this component, right? You have to wrap it inside Chakra provider, something like this. Okay, and that's all. So once we do that, and that's it, we are done. And if you want to like customize your theme, like if you want to add your own colors, if you want to add customize the way button is available and everything, you can actually follow this guide to customize your theme. Okay, so we won't be doing any customization. We'll be using the default Chakra styles. Okay, all right then. So the first thing we need is a navbar with a crowdfunding logo and then a connect wallet button. So now let's add a navbar. Okay, so we'll write components here. We'll create a components folder. So I'm gonna right click on my root directory and then say components. Okay, inside that we'll have a navbar, navbar.js. Okay, and then we'll do is we'll say import. Okay, let's not import first. Let's try to write a function. Let's say navbar. Let me zoom in a bit so that it's visible for you guys. Okay, we'll write a function and we'll return a fragment and then we'll export navbar. Okay, now what we'll do is here in order to define a div, right, define a div or nav or anything, you have to use box. Okay, in Chakra, box is like a common element. Okay, you can actually convert it to whichever HTML element you need, but we'll start with defining a box. Oops, not from Framer Motion. Let me import box here. Okay, so we import box from Chakra and you can say as nav. Okay, since we are developing a nav bar here, we need it as a nav. So we can say as nav. So now this will be converted to nav element. Okay, and now here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a container. I'm going to add a container. You will see why we need a container. Okay, it's pretty important to have a container here. And then we'll say max width of container.xl. Okay, I'll show you why you need container here. Just give it a few minutes. Okay, and here we'll have a background color. So we'll say bg white. We'll add a background color for this. Okay, and then we need a logo, right? So we'll say flex. Okay, flex. You have to import flex. And then here I'm gonna say heading. So heading is also one of the component from Chakra, which will give you like heading as h1, h2, h3. Okay, you can convert that. Okay, and here it says my app, but we'll change it to crowd funding. Okay, so if we go back to the output, okay, we have to import this first. Yeah, let's import it. So here inside home, inside index.js file, I'm gonna import navbar. Okay, so navbar, we imported navbar, and then we added it. So now we can see we got it. Okay, first let's just change the background color of as well. Here we have to change the background color. So what we can do is you can also add a default config for this, but let's do one thing. Let's just add let's do one thing. Let's add this one a Chakra provider. Actually, let's customize the theme of Chakra to give us a custom background color. Okay, so what you can do is you can actually extend this theme here. Let's copy this theme here. Okay, you have to import a Chakra theme, extend theme. Let's go to app.js here. You have to say extend theme. You have to import that. Okay, and then we'll say const theme equals extend theme. Okay, and you have to extend the global style. So we'll say global. Don't need style, but say body. Okay, bg gray 100. Let's say gray 100, and let's refresh. Oh, you have to pass this. You have to pass this theme. So you have to pass this as a prop. Okay, theme. Now, if you refresh, gray 100 is not visible. Let's change it to red. Wait. Global. Global styles. All right. Oh, we have to say styles and then global. Okay. We missed one property here. Styles and then global. Okay. And then body BG red 0.500. Just to check. All right, we got it. Okay, so this is not our background color, right? According to design, our background color is different. So let's copy this background color, come back here, and then paste it. So this is our background color. If we go back, you can see we got our background color and our nav bar is white. So now we can go to nav bar. Okay, so nav bar is cool. And can you see, due to this container, all the content are like properly centered, right? If I remove this container, right? Let's say I remove this container, you can see now what's going to happen. It's going to move all the way to the left. So now your contents will actually spread out. Okay, it will spread out. It is actually bad if you do that. So users has to turn to left to see all your contents on the left and turn to right to see all the contents on the right. So what we do is we contain them and then get them to a center, giving them proper visibility. Okay, so this is actually pretty good if you do it. Okay, and now what we'll do is we'll add a button. So we'll say button connect wallet. Connect wallet. Okay, so you can see we got a button as well. Wait a minute. Yeah, you got a button called connect wallet. But now, as you know, in our design, we need this colored button, right? And we're using pretty much everywhere. So seems like it's a primary color. So now what we can do is we'll just modify the theme a little bit to add our color, to add a new color for us. So what we can do is we copy this, okay, and then we come back, we go to app.js file here, we paste our colors here. Okay, so we'll say you can call it as brand or primary, whatever you guys want. So I'm going to copy this color. Okay, and there's this website called Smart Swatch. Okay, Smart Swatch. You have to paste that color over there and it will give you these shades. Okay, let's copy the JS object here and then paste it. Okay, now we can see we have different shades here, and then you can actually extend your colors. Let's see how to extend our color. To extend your color, you just have to pass it. So what we'll do is we'll copy our colors, and after styles here, we'll pass it. So once you do that, you can go to your nav bar. In the button, just say color scheme primary. And once you do it, go back to output, you can see we have the pretty good color. And not only color, you can see even if I hover on that and if I click on it, all the focus, the hover, the active state, everything is modified to the brand color. Okay, so you don't have to manually update them. Chakra automatically creates the styles for them. Okay, now the only thing is to move them to the left to right. So here we'll say align items center and then justify content spaced between. Okay, so once we do that, you can see it is properly separated, but also it is centered. So if the user is watching the screen, they can get all the contents without turning their head left to right. Okay, and but the only thing is the spacing is kind of a problem here, right? There is no good spacing here, right? So let's tackle that. To do that, what we can do is we can have padding. So we'll say p by 1 rem. So once you do p by 1 rem, you can see now it's properly tackled. Okay, now it's properly connected. Okay, there's good space. Now, since we're done with the nav bar, let's take care of this particular page, the projects page. Okay, so we need to have an index file. Let's add a container because we need a container here as well. The same config, max width, container.xl. Okay, all right. Now, what we will do is we'll say flex Okay, because we need this one, right? This button and this text, right? Same thing what you did here. Okay, let's copy that from the contain this one. Let's copy this whole thing, okay, and paste it here. Okay, same thing. And if you come back, you'll see we got the same thing again. But here, instead of crowdfunding, we'll change this to projects. Okay, and instead of connect wallet, we'll change this to add a project. Add a project. And here we can see the button is outlined, right? The outline button, right? So that's also pretty simple to do. All you have to say is variant outline. That's all. If we go back, you can see we got an outline button as well. Okay, so if I zoom in, you can see outline button. Okay, now we need some spacing on top. Now it's everything is attached to the top, right? So here in the container, we'll say my2rem. It's a pretty good spacing now, but we'll just add one more rem. We'll say 3rem or 4rem totally. Okay, this is good. Okay, and now let's start writing our project card. Let's start writing this card. So I'm going to create one more component. I'm going to say project card.js. Here I'm going to write a function for it, project card. Okay, and then all right, so here's what we'll be doing. We'll first write a flex. Okay, flex, and then we'll make this as direction, flex direction column. Okay, because we need this in a column wise, right? The image, the title and everything, and the proper alignment between them. So we'll make that as a column. Okay, and next thing is we'll add image. So here we'll say image. We'll import image from Chakra, sorry, this Chakra UI. And then before that, we need to add a box. A box as div. But basically, it will be div by default. Okay, and then image. So let's go get some image from Google. Let me Google images. We need to get some images from Google. I think this should be nice. I think this, you won't be able to get this, I guess. Yep, we won't be able to get that. It is actually licensed and the image link is not available properly. Yeah, you won't be able to get that. Let's check. I think this one we should be able to get it. Copy this, paste it here. Yes, we can get this. So let's go there and paste it. src, paste the image link. Okay, and then we can also add an alt. We'll say project image. Okay, and then here I'm gonna say width 100%, height 100%. Okay, this will take up the available width. Okay, here I'm going to do the same thing, and here as well we do the same thing, because so that the image will match exactly the height and width of the parent. But height here will be 200 pixel or something, so that we won't actually occupy the whole image. We just need to occupy only this much image, right? So we'll say 200 pixel and then we'll modify later, okay, depending on how it looks. And apart from that, here we say object fit cover, so that the image will properly fit. It won't stretch or it won't squeeze, it will properly expand. Okay, next we'll add an heading. So heading, so we'll say project name, and we'll keep this heading as h2. And you need to tackle one more thing here, that is number of lines. Let's make it to 2. This is because if in case if the project title is very big, which this will enable us to modify them to only 2 lines, and rest of the lines will be like you'll get some 3 dots like this. Okay, this is a very good way to handle the height of the card. Okay, and then we'll have a paragraph. We'll call it text. Okay, text by default will be p tag, the paragraph tag. Okay, so for now this will be lorem something. Yeah, this one. Okay, and even this will have a number of lines. We'll say this to 5. Okay, not more than 5 lines. At last, we need to have a few things here, like a fund project button and what is the total fund that is required. So here we'll say flex, and then we'll have a button that says fund project. Okay, and then we'll have a color scheme that says primary. Okay, and then another text here. Let's copy the same thing, put it here, and this won't be necessary for us. And this will be, for now, we'll say 2 million fund token. Okay, 2 million fund token. And then here we'll say color primary 500. Okay, so this will be color of primary 500. And here we'll say align item center, and justify space between, so that they will move from left to right. Okay, so that's it, guys. So this is about the project card. Okay, so we are done with the, not actually not entirely done with the project card, but let's modify that. Let's do trial and error. Okay, we'll export project card. Let's go to index file. And if you can notice here, we have 3 project card, right? Which each equal width. So to do that, we'll use grid. So we'll use CSS grid. Okay, we use CSS grid, and then we say grid template column. Grid template column would be repeat 3 1 fr. Okay, and then here, not this one, we'll import project card. Okay, we'll import project card, and if you can duplicate this thrice, and if you go back to your output, you can see we got 3 project card of same width. Okay, and you can see there is no gap in between them, right? To do that, we can use a simple property, that is gap. So we can say gap of 1 rem. When you do it, you can see now we have a good gap. The image width and height is perfect. So let's go to project card again, and let's add a background color of white. So we'll say BG white. Okay, now the background color is white. And then we need some, you can see now all these are attached to the corners, right? So let's add some padding. So, and then I'm going to say P padding of 1 rem. And now we can see the padding is properly added. But now we can, but also there's one problem, that all these contents are attached to one another, right? So we need some gap between them. That's also simple. Since we're using flex here, you can also use the gap property here. We can say gap 1 rem. Okay, and now guys, you can see it's properly set up. Okay, let's get some more what do you say, description here, so that we can actually see. Let's get this whole thing here for the description part, so that you guys can see actually how it looks. Okay, if I go back, now we can see it's not actually like growing more than 5 lines. After 5 lines, it will just show us 3 dots. So in this way, we can actually retain the height and width of the card here, okay, properly. And then let's add some border radius as well, so that the corners are rounded instead of being sharp. So we'll say rounded LG. We can add that to image as well. Okay, and you can see the image as well, right? It's properly visible now. It's properly stretched. Let's say if I remove this object cover, you can see it got shrunk, right? A little bit shrunk, right? Let's add the object cover back again. Now we can see it's properly visible. Okay, that's the reason we're adding that this one image object cover. And now, so once you click on this fund project, we have to open up the project details. Okay, so for that, what we'll do is whenever we click on fund project, we'll use the project ID to open up the page. Okay, so for now, since we don't have the ID yet, okay. Also, one more thing before moving on, let's make this dynamic. So right now everything is hard coded here, right? So let's make this dynamic. So I'm gonna say props. Hey guys, sorry, really sorry for that. Okay, coming back again. So we were about to make this whole project card dynamic, right? So right now it's hard coded, right? So what we'll do is we will cancel this hard coded image link and we'll say props dot image. Okay, and similarly we'll cancel this hard coded project name and say props dot title. Similarly, okay, we do the same thing here and then add description. Description. Okay, the spelling is correct. Okay, and next thing is at last we need this fund ID here. So we'll say total or funds required. Funds required. Okay, and then on clicking on this funds, like what is a fund project, we have to redirect them to the project details page, right? Where we have all the fund details. So for that, we'll write a function here. Okay, first we'll have to import use router. Use, oops, router from next router so that we'll be able to use routing functionality here. We have to instantiate it is router, and then we create a function called fund project or open project. That should be fine. Open project. Okay, and what this will do is this will say router dot push, same thing, of course this is the same thing. So instead of like, we'll do something like this. Okay, projects of props.id. Okay, so this will redirect us to this page. So we'll copy this function and on click we'll send it. So on click of fund project, we open this project. Okay, so now let's try that. So now everything is blank because we didn't pass any data as props. So let's pass some data as props. Let's copy the image link. Let's come back to our code. In index.js file, here we have all this card, right? So here, let's pass the details. We'll say image, pass the image link, title, project one, description. We'll just get some description from Chakra UI documentation. Yep, this one. Okay. Okay, let's add Lora Pipsum itself since it's already auto-generating for us. GitHub Copilot is amazing. Now, we'll just do one more thing, that is funds required. We'll have 1 million here. And then at last id would be 1. Okay, and same thing we'll have here as well, like 2 cards and id number 2, id number 3. Okay, this will be project 2, project 3. If we go back, you can see now we have all the data. That this is a dynamic right now, so we're passing dynamic data. If you click on front project, you'll be redirected to the, and you will get actually 404 issues since you don't have the project. But you can, if you check the URL, you can actually see it's redirecting us to the projects page. Okay, now let's create a projects page. So since if you check our route here, we are going inside projects and the ID here, right? So what we have to do is you have to create a directory called projects. Okay, inside that you need to create a new file that says id.js in this way. Okay, bracket id bracket close and .js. Okay, id would be the parameter here. Okay, so we'll say const project, then here you go, here you go. Okay, all right, so here we are, and then we'll export this project. And here you can get the project ID by doing this way. So you have to import this use router again here. Okay, and then you have to instantiate it as usual. Okay, but you can actually get the ID something like this. You can actually log it. Let's say you can something like this, router query, and this ID, this name should be exactly the file name. Okay, whatever you have in the inside the bracket in the file name, that should be here. Only then you'll actually get it. So let's just add this in a let's just output this. So let's say let's just do it something like this. Okay, and let's try to YouTube is not receiving. All right, let's go to our projects back. Okay, and then click on project one. So we can see this is giving us one here, right? I don't know if you can see this. Let me add this as heading, so you guys can see it properly. Okay, now we can see we have one here. Then let's just let me go back again and click on project 2, and you can see now we got 2. Oops, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but we got 2 here. Okay, so no problem with that, we can actually see it properly. Now let's add it. Okay, now let's start writing our building a project page, this page. Okay, it's straightforward guys, it's just one component, that's it. So we can import the existing navbar here. We can import our existing navbar that we built, navbar. Okay, and then what you can do is we'll add a container again, of course, another container. Let's say max width equals container excel. Okay, this should help us. This should give us the container here, and then we'll add this. We'll add the image. Okay, so for now we'll hard code everything, and once we connect our contract tomorrow, we'll be able to get all the original details. Okay, so we'll give a background color for this. Let's say BG white. Okay, and then padding 1 rem. Is 1 rem enough? I think we need to have 2 rem. 2 rem of padding. Okay, if you go output, see the output now, you can actually see we're getting this card here, right? We need some space on the top. Right now it's attached to the top. So what we'll do is we'll say my 4 rem. So now we can see we have a good card here, and then the spacing as well. Now let's start writing our details over there. If you can notice one thing, we need equal space, equal 2 equal spaces, right? And in this case, it's pretty good to use a CSS grid. We'll use grid here. We'll say grid template column, and then we say repeat to 1FR. So this will divide our space into 2 with equal width sizes. Okay, so now we can easily add image in one space here. We can box is imported. We can say width 100%, height 100%. Okay, we can say width 100%, or you can define height as well. Let's say 400 pixel height. Okay, and then we can add image. So since we're using the same image here, we can go here, copy the image property here, put it here. Instead of src props, we'll just copy paste the image link directly right now until we connect the contract tomorrow. So we'll do that here. Okay, we'll go back to output. You can see we have an image now, and this image width is 400 pixel. And if you want to increase this to 600 or something, if you feel like this space is not enough, then you can do it. Okay, and I kind of feel like the padding is too much here though. Let's just decrease it to 1.5. Right, good, it looks good now. Okay, now let's start adding our title and everything. Okay, so this is done, so let me close it. So we'll add one more flex. All right guys, so here we'll say flex. Oops. Okay, yeah, we're making this as flex column. The reason is, again, as I said in project card, because we'll be able to properly align them and then give equal spaces between them. I don't, did we import flex? No, let's import it. Oh. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, flex is done. First thing which we need is a title, the description, and the range keyword here. So of course we are getting the header here. We have the project title, and we have to here we don't have to limit them to number of lines because it's kind of everything here. So whatever we have, all the details will be showing them here. We don't have to limit the number of lines here. Okay. So here we'll have text that says description here. This can be some lorem ipsum kind of thing. So we'll copy this lorem ipsum, okay, and then paste it here. Okay. Did we import text? We didn't import text. Import text. Okay, let's go back and check. You can see now it's properly aligned. Although there is no space, we'll take care of the space later. Next thing that we need is the total funding. So we need to add this range. So let's add that range. So for that, we'll be using a flex here again, another flex column, because you can see in design, we have one element here and then this element. So we need to properly align them. So we'll say flex, another flex inside it. Okay, so this will be a flex column. Okay, and here we'll have a heading that says fund. What is that name? Fund details. Okay, that says fund details, and this would be H6, a very small one. Okay, and we have to set this font size as well. So we'll say size to SM, small size. Okay, then we'll add one more text here. We'll say text. Okay, so it says 0 funds, but we'll copy paste this. Okay, we'll copy paste this. Instead of duo, we'll convert that to fund token. Okay, and this will be color of primary. So we'll say color primary 500. Okay, so now here you go. We have all this one. So only thing is we have to align them properly. So we'll say align item center, and then justify space between, and that's it. So if you guys see now, it's properly aligned. The next thing remaining is this range. So we can use this something called HTML range. If you Google HTML range, you'll actually get it. So it's actually an input type of range. So you'll be using that. Okay. So here we'll say again inside this flex. Okay, come out of the second flex. Inside the first flex, we'll say input. We'll input the input component. We'll import the input component from Chakra UI. Okay, and then here we'll say type range. Okay, and if you go back to your output, you can see we got the range as well. Oh, wait, this is not how it's required. Range. Oh, this will give us a range slider. We don't need the slider though. Um, Sliders, which let's check progress. We need this one. So what we'll do is we'll import progress. The Chakra has their own version of this one, and we'll copy this. Oh, come on, paste it here. Okay. We can have hash stripe as well. I think that's pretty cool. Hash stripe. Right, now it kind of looks cool though. So now what we can do is when we connect our wallet, we can actually determine what is the percentage of funding that already has happened. Whether let's say if out of 2 million, if we have 1 million of funding, then 50% of funding is done. So we'll determine that 50%, that 50 number, and then we'll add it to this range. So that way we'll be able to work, implement it. And let's see if I can have color scheme here. Let's say primary. Yeah, you can see we got color scheme as a primary. Okay, so that's also done. So this is great. And now the only thing that is remaining is this button, a big button, which is pretty simple to implement. All you have to do is you have to call a button. It's a button. and done. Let's say fund project. Okay, and here we can see we got the button, and the only thing that is remaining is color scheme primary, and then width 100%, so that we get the whole width button. Okay, a big button. We'll try to change the size as well. We'll say size LG, large button. Okay, a large button. That's great. Now everything is cool, but the only thing that's problem is this spacing here. Everything is kind of seems to be attached to one another. So what we'll do is we'll add a gap here. We'll say gap one rem. It's loading. All right, now we can see we have a good gap. I don't think so. Okay, let's add a gap at the grid as well. Once here in the grid, let's add a gap of one rem. All right, this gap is good. This is good. And let's add a gap here between the fund details. All right, now we can see it's kind of good though. Let's just make it 0.6 here instead of 1. All right, and this button gap is not enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a margin top and then say 2 rem. So that we'll at least get some space in button. All right, this should be good. All right, now we can see we have the description, the title, the funding details, and the fund button. So once we include all this contract and everything, we can determine whether the current user is actually the project owner or not, and based on that, we'll just change this text to withdraw button. Okay. Now, if they come back, all right, let's say the project fund. Okay, you can see it's coming back again. They can come back. They click on here. They're coming back again. So seems like our UI is functional. So tomorrow, once we connect our contract, we'll be able to actually make all